give to receive? That is the question. Is it? Is that the question? Here is what so I mean, it's what I love about coaching. And when I'm seeing quite a lot of clients, like this week is a client week, I always find it so fascinating how there is this through line of theme that shows up with the clients that I'm serving. And what's even, I don't know if it's crazier or coincidental or the universe speaking to me, is that these themes happen to show up in all the different areas and realms where I am coaching. So it's not just in one space, it shows up in all multiple spaces. And what I love with the message, I was saying, like, what's the lesson that maybe the universe is sharing with me, is that this is actually something I've been diving into and unpacking, covering even for myself on the ability to receive. The thing is, as a high achiever, right? A lot of times you probably find yourself feeling this drive, right? This, I can do it all by myself, and it feels good to be able to do it all. And something that I've learned along the way is it's not about that fact that you can't do it all. You can do it all, but at what cost? Right? As someone who experienced burnout at what I thought was the peak of my career, I realized that a lot of what contributed to my burnout, and not just in that very moment, but the months, and in some ways you could say years leading up to that, was this belief of needing to do it all by myself, having to prove myself, right? Like feeling a very pull energy. And I mean, this even stems from I remember I had a big breakthrough about having like Abigail's baby shower, because it was around receiving, even asking for help, and receiving support, and all these things, because what would it mean about me, right? What does it mean about you if you ask for support, if you ask for help, if you receive support, right? If people are reaching out to you and offering their support and wanting to help you, right? What's coming up for you around saying yes, around receiving? Like, this has been my muscle. I definitely say for the last 6 months, probably even longer, especially with the arrival of Amelia, right, who's now a year and a half, is actually just saying, thank you, I receive. So the work that I've done on myself, and I'm curious for you who's watching this, when you say that, thank you, I receive, what comes up for you? How are you feeling in your body? What's the internal chatter and dialogue around receiving? And, I've seen a lot of quotes out there. That's what I'm saying. It's like the theme of the week on, through the socials and even friends and groups and sharing different messages, and even in the coaching groups around, how we rise higher together. How, businesses are not built on soloship, right? It's built in partnership. It's built in collaboration. It's built in community, right? Even for, was the saying, like, it takes a village to raise a child, right? It's bringing in the expertise and knowledge of so many different people to help support and raise, for example, like well-rounded individuals, to hear and learn from different perspectives and different generations, right? Sorry, as I was speaking, I just had this image of like my nan, sharing stories with me, and even Abby a few years ago, of even what life was like when she was growing up, right? And just great helping the mind become more expansive by hearing, thinking about personal development and learning from different leaders and teachers and guides that share their wisdom on bringing a new perspective in. And this is the power, right? But we go about it alone. We go about it solo. What is the price that you're paying? And that was kind of some of the questions I was asking my clients this morning. It's like I hear you, I get it, but what's the price you're paying? There's a payoff, right? Yeah, it sure feels good when you can do it all yourself, right? We talked about the dopamine yesterday, the feel-good chemical. You experience that. And guess what? You experience that as well when you receive, when you feel the love, when you feel the connection, right? Which is so much lighter and more free than the heaviness that surrounds a lot of time of this doing, right? Of doing it all, of overcoming, of overachieving, right? Because we're overachievers, we're high achievers, right? And that does fuel us, right? It does fuel the brain, right? It does help us with, right? It's going to impact the decisions we're going to make, right? Either ask for support or do it by myself. And then, the actions you take is you doing it by yourself. And the result, I mean, you might get the result or you may not get the result because you burn yourself along the way. You get injured, right? Or you find yourself in a position where you actually need to ask for support, but at a moment where it becomes out of almost, I want to say desperation, but like you really need help now, versus a lot of this could have been avoided had you asked for help or support from the beginning. And I shared actually on our podcast, and I will drop the link to that podcast episode, about a few weeks back when I was in one of the leadership rooms, and my stretch where I was stretching myself was asking for support, reaching out, because to be able to be in that space, it required me to ask for support from Andrew, my husband, right, with the girls. It required support from other team members for supporting in, with the team leadership. I even asked for support even with the leaders I was working with, right? To bring in, again, another perspective, because we can't see our own blind spots. And it's so beautiful, like the dance that I got to experience in those moments with other people when they brought in another perspective, when they saw it from another angle, right? Sometimes we're so into it, we can't see outside of us, right? And in that moment, I mean, my biggest aha moment was, one, how much easier it was because I asked for support. Like, just the whole experience becomes so much more easy because I didn't have to do it all by myself. Two, I noticed how I got to surrender control, which can be challenging if you are someone who is more of a driver and likes to be in control of things, right? Because now you're not the one in control, right? You're surrendering and trusting somebody else, right? And so that was an exercise in that. Three, how it was really nice to get the help. And also noticing how uncomfortable it was and how I was able to shift myself into, as I said earlier, to receive. And this shows up everywhere, right? This can show up for you in your relationships, with your family, with your finances, with success in your business, with success in your professional life, right? Like, especially if we've got a story that it's got to be hard or we got to work hard, right? I mean, it even goes back to talking about the to-do list yesterday. If we're constantly operating by the doing and it's got to be hard, we're going to continue to make that. But if we truly want things to be easy, if we truly want to experience freedom, it comes with leaning in, detaching ourselves from the meeting, and really looking around yourself and seeing, okay, what would make things easier in this situation? Last year, my word for the year was simplicity. And here's the thing, our brain likes to overcomplicate things. And so to build the muscle to consistently ask myself, how does this get to be simple? Or what does simple look like in this situation? Right? Was really interrupting the automatic of overcomplication. Because for many of us, like probably yourself and me, overcomplication equals safety. And our brain's wired to keep us in the safe and familiar. Ease and flow, freedom, is what we want, but that is not necessarily safe to the brain until we train the brain that is safe. Until we train the brain that it's okay to receive. That we train the brain that we are worthy of support and to receive. That we're worthy that it gets to be easy. That we're worthy that it gets to be simple, right? And so there's a lot. I mean, there's so much going on, right? Inside of the brain. It's fascinating, especially as I get to work as a neuro coach with so many of our digital web clients and my coaching clients, to see really what's going on, right? And it's things that happen in our lives from 0 to 7 that impact how we're showing up. So today, what I'd love to invite you to do is listen to the podcast where Carol and I dove a little bit deeper the neuroscience behind this, and also just begin to practice to receive. right? Begin by either asking for support, or when someone offers it, say, thank you, I receive. We get to train the brain that receiving is safe. We get to train the brain that, yes, you are worthy of receiving. Get to train the brain that you don't have to do it all by yourself. It's not that you can't, you don't have to. You get to train the brain. It gets to be easy. It gets to be simple. You are worthy of that. We get to train the brain, right? Because up until now, you have neural pathways that are on automatic and on autopilot that are serving up the stories that, you've got to be playing over here. It's got to be hard. It's right. You're not worthy of having help. You've got to do all by yourself because you got to prove yourself. That ends today. You don't have to keep operating like that anymore. You get to train the brain to write a new story, to receive, that it gets to be easy, and that you get to work in collaboration and in community and in partnership with those around you to create and grow and build whatever it is that you want to create. Whether it's raising children, whether it's growing a business, whether it's just to create a life more of ease, right? To hear and work in collaboration. I mean, this is why people hire coaches, right? It's to help them break through the patterns that are no longer serving the vision, the future, the goals, the dreams that they want to create. So I'd love for you to drop in the chat to let me know where you get to say, yes, I receive today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.